In today's tutorial, I'm going to be teaching you a very simple left-hand pattern which you can use in your improvisations. So let's get right into it. Let's first have a look at the general idea. It's actually very simple. Just play an ascending arpeggio and then you stay up. The magic of this left-hand pattern will be in changing what you do when you stay up. Before getting really into this, I'm going to show you why this specific example works so well and why it's so useful. What I mean by this specific example is you play the fifth and then the third on the octave above. The answer actually comes from physics and not from music. If you look at the harmonic series, which is something which I'd probably explain more in detail in another video, but very simply, when you play a note, you're actually playing that note and a bunch of other notes which are called the overtones or harmonics. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to play the second overtone, the third, the fifth, and then the fourth. This makes the music sound very whole, very filling. And when you play this in a grand piano, this sounds absolutely incredible. Of course, I did simplify this a lot, but as I said, we'll look into that in another video. So now that the basic idea is clear, don't forget, we have to create an ascending arpeggio and stay up. Let's have a look at some rhythmic variations. Of course, this will depend whether you're playing in 4/4, 3/4, 6/8, or whatever. In 4/4, a possible variation would be the following. In 3/4, there's this very basic variation, which is the one I probably use the most. Of course, nothing stops us from extending this pattern to various measures. For example, we can play once again, as long as we play an ascending arpeggio and then we stay up, we can find very interesting ideas. So now let's have a look at some harmonic variations. Now, I hesitated on whether to write harmonic or melodic. The reason is actually quite interesting. When we play this pattern, the higher notes form a kind of melody. Perhaps an example will illustrate this better. Did you hear the melody? So, the first harmonic variation would just be to play the same idea as before, but in minor. Now, if you actually play this pattern, you will see that it is a bit awkward on the piano. So another way to play this would be to substitute the root note with the fifth when we stay up. So this will be something like this, as opposed to we do lose one note, but it is much easier to play. Up until now, we have played the root note as the first note, as a deep note. However, in music, we do have inversions of chords. You can just substitute the lower note, and this will work just fine. And just as with rhythmic variations, you can just go fill in. As I said, you can play entire melodies in the higher notes. And if you're more of an advanced player, well, don't forget voice leading. There comes a point where what you can do is you can play a melody with the left hand and another melody with the right hand. In this way, you can add some counterpoint to your improvisations. This is more of an advanced technique, but it does sound very good. What are the use cases of this left hand pattern? The most common one, and the one which was most usually used in the Romantic era, was to play melody in octaves in the right hand. So this was very commonly used by Chopin and Rachmaninoff, for example. And it's what I've been playing in my improvisations up until now. Another use case is to play around with texture. This would sound like this. Another way you can use this left-hand pattern is to add variation to your improvisations. So, for example, you could have been playing a melody with one accompaniment, and then in order to change around your improvisation to make it interesting, you can just change the left-hand pattern and play this. And finally, another use case would be just to add some harmonic color without having to use chords. So, for example, if you want to play a dominant 7 flat 9 chord, if you just play it like that, well, it sounds kind of bad. However, you can spread it out. And you can combine these ideas together, of course. There I also played a minor 7 add 9 chord, just so you see that this is a good way to spread out your chords. And that was all for today's video. Don't forget, this is just play a ascending arpeggio and to stay up. And then you're free to improvise and to have all the ideas that you want. As long as you stay to that basic pattern, it's fairly easy to find very, very interesting sounding left-hand accompaniments. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. See you next time.